Hello, welcome to Spread Book Joy. Today I've got a book haul for you. If you're new to the channel, I'm Jack, and if you're not new, welcome back. And if you're not new, you'll know I recently published a video, which I'll put up here or down below, where I talked about my book buying habits and how it's getting a bit out of control. Well, I've got a big book haul to show you, but there are many reasons for this book haul. One was a birthday. So I recently celebrated a birthday in the last few weeks, and then I got presents. So you can't hold that against me. Another was I did a huge book shopping trip to London with some absolutely wonderful booktubers, some of whom I know very well and I've met before, and some of whom I have just met for the first time. And it was all organised by the amazing Katie Lumsden from Books and Things. Her channel is Books and Things, and she's also the author of Secrets of Hartwood Hall, and just a generally all-round lovely person. So she organised a huge Booktuber UK Meetup event, and invited quite a lot of us who had gone to her book launch, and said if we knew of any other UK booktubers who might want to join in, to let them know, and she invited all of them as well. So yeah, it was really lovely. I got to meet lots of people who I watch, people that I know of but don't necessarily watch regularly, but will try and do so from now on, even though I really struggled to keep up with channels. But yeah, it was just a beautiful day. So I'm going to put some pictures up here while I talk to you about it. And we decided to hit as many bookshops as possible. I say we decided, Katie decided. She set up this route from, we met at Waterstones in Piccadilly, and we went I think we went to about 7 or 8 bookshops, but I'll remember as I talk you through the day. I thought I might maybe come away with 1 or 2 books and be strict to myself, but then I was like, you know what, I've got some birthday money, I'm doing this really special day, and if something comes up and I want to buy it, I'm going to buy it. So I did. I bought 7 books, and I was given 1, so I came away with 8 books. So that's not too bad considering the shops we went to. So I'll talk about that when I get to that book haul in a moment. And I also just was sent some books because lovely people like to pass on the books they've read if they're not keeping them. So we kind of do that quite a bit now. We pass things back and forth between us as booktubers. So yeah, I'm going to get into my book haul. And yeah, I've got to have a separate, I was going to do this as part of one reading ramble, which is the sort of videos that I do to regularly update you on what I've been reading, my thoughts on reading and stuff like that. But this is such a big book haul that I actually, it deserves its own video. So yeah, let's get into it. First of all, I was sent Trespasses by Louise Kennedy, and this was sent to me by the lovely Gemma from Gem of Books. It's one of the Women's Prize long list books. If you've not been watching Gemma alongside Alice from Alice and Giant Bookshelf and Charlie from Charlie Book Reads, they did a whole sort of project on reading the Women's Prize long list and discussing it week to week with various other booktubers, a lot of whom I met on Saturday as well, and it was just a wonderful project. The Women's Prize for Fiction is one of the fiction prizes, adult fiction prizes, that I'm always quite interested in. One, because we need to promote women authors, because that's why we have a Women's Prize in the first place, because they just were not being recognised by the main prizes, literary prizes. And 2, because they actually tend to have better books in the Women's Prize for me than the Booker or anything like that. So I find the Women's Prize to be an interesting prize to follow, and I love all the content generated around it. And this one did catch my attention. It's set in the 1970s in Northern Ireland, and it is about a woman who has an affair with a married man, I believe. I won't go into it too much because I kind of want to go into it a bit more blind, but Charlie loved it. I think it was her favourite long listed book, and Gemma really didn't get on with it, and I don't think Alice got on with it either. I think she might have been indifferent, but I was intrigued by it because the period it's set in and the place it's set in. My family are from Northern Ireland, from Belfast, and yeah, so I was really intrigued by this book. So I'm looking forward to reading it and seeing what it's about. I don't know when I'll get to it, but you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint, in terms of these bookshelves, of all these books I've got to get to. But yeah, so thank you so much, Gemma, for sending this to me. I'm looking forward to getting into it when I do eventually get into it. Before I get into birthday presents, I'm going to just talk about a book that I bought myself just because I had a really hard day last week. Really hard. I won't go into it. It's, you know, just one of those things when you have a bad day. And my partner, who's always telling me off for buying books, not telling me off, he's kind of a joke between us really, but he was like, I think you need to go and buy yourself a book. Well, at least that's what I heard. He might say otherwise, but he said, like, you know, go into town, have a wander around, maybe go into a few bookshops. So I heard, you need to buy yourself a book. So I did. So if you don't know my channel, I moved recently from London to Devon. Devon's so beautiful. I took a drive. I went to a little town called Crediton, which has a number of gorgeous bookshops, mainly secondhand, and then one community run bookshop, which is stunning. It is stunning. It is really pretty. It's called the Bookery, and they have these gorgeous tote bags. So I got myself a tote bag from the Bookery in Crediton, which isn't this beautiful? I love the colour of it and everything. And then I got myself, and they gave me a beautiful bookmark, and it's a community run bookshop. It's run by the community, and it had an absolutely gorgeous selection of things. It had a gorgeous selection of signed copies, and it had a book that I'm going for my Southwest project. So I'm doing a Southwest Stories project, so reading books by authors from or set in the southwest of England, and this was one I've been after for a while, and they had a signed copy, and it's by Tom Cox, and it's called Villager. So Tom Cox has done some non-fiction writing all around nature and life in Devon, and this is his debut fiction novel, I believe. I think it's his first fiction novel, and it's all about villages, and yeah, it says that villages are full of tales. Some are forgotten while others become part of local folklore, but the fortunes of one West Country village are watched over and irreversibly etched into history as an omniscient, somewhat crabby presence keeps track of village life. I got that recommendation from Alice over at Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Tom Cox was recommended by her, so thank you, Alice. So this is an independently published collection of stories told by someone called Anna McNuff. It's called the Bedtime, isn't it beautiful, this cover? The Bedtime Adventure Stories for Grown-Ups. And this is based on something that this person, Anna McNuff, runs a website, I believe, and I think she's a bit of an explorer, an adventurer, traveller, and she decided during the COVID-19 pandemic to go online and tell live bedtime stories for grown-ups, basically about her adventures, and this is a collection of some of the stories from those. So I'm very excited to get into this because it just seems like a lovely idea, and I'm excited to read the stories. I'm not a huge short story person, but I've realised that if it's told in the right way, or it's the right person, or if it's a collection of true stories, I do really like them. So I'm thinking of this as kind of like, if you ever listen to the Moth podcast, then you'll know what I mean. So the Moth storytelling hour. So I do like a story being told by a person about their life. So this is perfect, and one of my friends got this for me. So thank you to that friend. You know who you are. My lovely friend Sally, who is over on Instagram as Salbo Reads, she sent me this, 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. It was on my wish list. I read this a couple of months back, and I did a review of it in one of my reading rambles, and I really, really enjoyed this, and I'm going to reread it. But I had it on audiobook, and I definitely wanted a physical copy, so I'm going to reread this at some point and do a lot of underlining and thinking about it. But yeah, thank you so much, Sally, for sending me this. This is a book called 4,000 Weeks Time Management for Mortals, and it's a non-fiction book all about it's about the productivity obsession that we have and how we spend our time and how much time we have. And 4,000 weeks refers to the fact that if you're lucky enough to live to the age of 80, you've got about 4,000 weeks in your entire life. So I've surpassed halfway point now. Well past it. So I'm this is something that is preoccupying me at the moment a little bit. So thank you so much, Sally. It's a really great book, and I can't wait to read it again. So the absolutely lovely Emily over at Novell Novels sent me a couple of books for my birthday, and some lovely little treats, including I've got some bookmarks to show you, and she sent me one of them. So she sent me this lovely bookmark, which is yes, so many books, so little time. Perfect, of course. It kind of looks like my bookshelves, actually. And she sent me this beautiful vintage classics edition of Little Women. Isn't this stunning? Absolutely beautiful. And then she also sent me this contemporary fiction, The Last Reunion, which I'd not heard of, but it sounds right up my street because it seems to be a multi-generational saga told across like 3 different timelines. And I am there for that. I do enjoy that. So yeah, thank you so much, Emily. That's so sweet of you. And she also sent me like a pen and a few other things. So yeah, it was a really thoughtful package. I loved it. Alice from Alice and the Giant Bookshelf, she sent me a couple of lovely little cute bookmarks, which are really on theme for the book she sent me. She sent me a couple of little like cat and tiger bookmarks, and they're really on theme because she also sent me a Tom Cox book, and Tom Cox has written about his cats in this book, The Good, the Bad and the Furry. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's a nice cozy afternoon read. And she also sent me this gorgeous postcard of an ancient classic, and I actually have Caesar's Conquest of Britain in this edition, actually, over there on my shelves. So Didn't know she knew that. I don't think she actually knew that. It was just a random lucky choice. But yeah, I love getting things like this. And she also sent me, which I immediately sat down and read, the cutest, warmest, fuzziest, coziest graphic novel I've wanted for ages. It was on my wish list for ages, and it is Garlic and the Vampire by Bree Paulson. How cute is this? So it's all about a little bulb of garlic called Garlic. She's been animated by a witch to come to life, and the witch has lots of fruit and vegetables that she's animated to help her in her garden, and a vampire moves into the castle, and they're like, well, clearly you're Garlic and that's a vampire, so you've got to go and hunt the vampire. And Garlic is a very anxious, socially anxious and nervous person, or Garlic. So yeah, it was really sweet. Think like Tea Dragon Society levels of cuteness and wholesomeness. Just loved it. I can't remember whose channel I saw this on, but I'm forever grateful for them because it's lovely, and I definitely want the next one, which is called Garlic and the Witch. But yeah, gorgeous books. If you like that kind of thing, this is a definite read. So I have 3 brothers. I don't have any sisters. I've got 3 brothers, 2 older, 1 younger, and they all got me things that, whilst one of them's not bookish, I've made it bookish. He gave me money, and actually that money has contributed to some of my books here. So in a sense, he did buy me books. But he got me, my older brother, my oldest brother, he got me this little green fairy, and she sits now on my shelves next to my collection of fairy tale related books. So I've got her. I need to name her really. Anyway, but he also gave me money, which I used to buy books with. My other 2 brothers, they went all out to try and find books that I don't have, because they always want to buy me books, but they're never sure of what I've got. And several times they've tried to buy me books and I've got them. But when they do buy me a book and I haven't got it, it's always spot on. So my middle brother, he got me this, and it's The Wizards of Odd, and he happened to see it, I don't know if he saw it online or secondhand or something like that, but it's a collection of humorous fantasy and sci-fi stories, which I love because I'm a huge Pratchett and Douglas Adams fan. 2 original stories, one by Terry Pratchett set in the Discworld, one by Douglas Adams set in the universe of The Hitchhiker's Guide. So I am here for it. And then the rest of the short stories are by some extremely famous fantasy and sci-fi writers, some of whom I can't imagine writing humorous fiction, but apparently this is humorous fiction. So we've got Isaac Asimov, Ray Bradbury, Arthur C. Clarke, Stephen Donaldson, Ursula K. Le Guin, Kurt Vonnegut and H.G. Wells, among others, in this anthology of humorous fantasy and sci-fi. So very excited about it. He also got me this cute thing. It's in here. It's a coin. One more chapter or go to bed, it says. So it's a coin that you flip, and when you open it up, there's like a kind of like little envelope in here, and then you take the coin out, and it's basically on one side, it's one more chapter on one side, I will go to bed on the other side. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let's see. So yeah, that's go to bed. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. And then on the other side, it's got one more chapter. I don't know if I've got it up the right way around. It's quite dark in here today, but yeah, so cute, right? Really cute. And my youngest brother and his wife, they got me this awesome looking, and I haven't even opened it yet, Bowie at 75, like collector's edition book, which I haven't opened yet, and I will open, but I want to have time to sit down. And it's basically 75 like key moments from David Bowie's career. So how stunning is this? Those were all my birthday books that I can think of so far. I tried to keep them in one place so that I wouldn't forget anyone's books, so I can put them away now, add them to my catalogue. But yeah, I thank you so much to everyone who sent me books. So on to my books I bought on the Saturday with birthday money. Yes, I got some money from various people in my family and I spent it on books. So I went to King's Cross in the morning and I met lovely Ange from Ange's Book Chatter, who I love Ange. I speak to her on most days and I've never met her in real life. She came all the way down from Sunderland. So I met her at King's Cross and we went to Piccadilly Waterstones and we met everyone in the coffee shop. Had a quick look around Piccadilly Waterstones before we shot off to another bookshop. But so the first book I was given, didn't pick up, was in the basement of Waterstones Piccadilly in the cafe, and that was by Charlie Brooke, and this is called Outrageous, and it is the story of Section 28 and Britain's battle for LGBT education by Paul Baker. I've wanted to read this for a while, and it's all around the horrific law, Section 28, which banned schools from, it says here, teaching the acceptability of homosexuality as a pretended family relationship. And that went on until the 90s. Like I remember this being debated. I remember this was a thing. When I was at school, teachers were not allowed to talk about homosexuality in any way. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this because there's like it's supposed to be a really definitive history and a lot of oral history, because there are interviews with people who were activists and protesters and things like that. So looking forward to this one. Thanks, Charlie. And then we went up the stairs and I went straight, I said to, like, we only had like 15 minutes to look around Waterstones Piccadilly because we were all chatting, and then we're like, we've got to go to our next stop. Katie planned a brilliant day of bookshop visits. So we ran up the stairs. I said, does anyone want to go to Sci-Fi Fantasy? We all ran up the stairs and I got Shirley Jackson, We've Always Lived in the Castle. And this is, I don't know why, it was under fantasy. I'm not quite sure, or was it under horror? I can't remember. I'm assuming it was under horror. I then picked up the first book in the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey, and it's Leviathan Wakes, and this is a sci-fi, like a space opera, 9-book series, I believe, and there's a TV show called The Expanse, which my partner watches actually. I've never watched, but I'm glad I've never watched it now because I didn't realise it was a series of books, and this is just so highly recommended by Gemma from Gemma Books, and also they've been reading it. She's been reading it with various people who also really enjoyed it. I think Sandy from Miss Reads Lots is one of them, but yeah, it looks like such a great series, and because I'd spent £19.98, and to get your Waterstones points, of which I have now picked up 2, you get a point for every £10 you spend. But if you spend £19.98, I've discovered in the past and been heartbroken, you get 1 point. So I picked up a Moonman's bookmark at the till just so I could get my additional Waterstones point. I mean, it works, right? The capitalism works. So then we went to Hatchards, and I wasn't planning on buying anything, but I did have a list of books, or at least photographs of books I'd seen in bookshops before this that I hadn't bought, but I knew I was going on this big book shopping trip, so I was like, if I see them, I'm going to get them. And then Gareth from Book Songs and Other Magic, he came over and he's like, loads of us are buying this, so we're going to read it. And I was like, that's one of the books I'm looking for. And this seems just so cute. It's called Days at the Morizaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagasawa, and it is translated fiction. So, and it's also very short. And I was thinking about this for Shorty September, which is coming up, where you read short books of under 200 pages. But it's a tale of families, love, new beginnings, and the comfort that can be found in books. And not only is it a bookshop and it seems cozy, but we've got a cat. So yeah, I'm all in. Isn't this beautiful, this cover? Absolutely love the cover of it. Look, so yeah, stunning. Then we went to Foyles in Charing Cross Road. I didn't buy anything in Foyles. I decided I'm going to go on a mission and look for books that I actually want rather than... so I hunted in the graphic novel section for Garlic and the Witch. They didn't have it. I also, I didn't buy anything in Foyles. Then we went to there's an Oxfam bookshop, which everyone was going to, and I decided I needed this graphic novel, so I led a splinter group mission to Forbidden Planet, which is not far. Now, I had intended to let everybody know we were going, but by the time we were at the end of the line, and everyone had gone on and marched on to Oxfam, so a few people were like, well, I'll go with you, and then we were like, we're near there, let's just stop. We just went. Which is a bit naughty of us, actually, because a lot of people might have wanted to go. And at the end of the day, a few people did go to Forbidden Planet. But yeah, didn't find Garlic and the Witch in Forbidden Planet. So then after lunch, we went to the London Review. I didn't get anything in the London Review, but I saw a load of books that I'm actually quite interested in, but I didn't pick anything up in the end. I was like, no, I'm going to just go for things that I definitely know I want if I see them. And I went to, after the London Review, we went to Gaze the Word and Scoob, and they're quite close together, and Gaze the Word is a very small bookshop, so we split up, and some of us went to Scoob, and then we swapped over and went to Gaze the Word after. And Gaze the Word is tiny, so like you really need to split up at that point. So we went to Scoob first, the group I was in, and I did find things I wanted. So I found a collection of Ray Bradbury short stories, The Illustrated Man, which Alice absolutely loved. Says she didn't find a bad short story in here, and I want to read more Ray Bradbury after I finally read Something Wicked This Way Comes. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. And look how almost brand new. These are all secondhand because Scoob Books is a secondhand shop. And this looked practically brand new. And then also practically brand new looking, I found books 3 and 4 in the Wayfarers series by Becky Chambers, and I'm going to read book 2 after a million years ago that I read book 1. of the series. So yeah, hoping that I know I'm gonna like these. So I definitely wanted them, so I picked them up. So then we went back to Gaze the Word, and I got gorgeous Gaze the Word postcard. There we go, Gaze the Word. And I got, they gave me a lovely bookmark as well, so I got a bookmark in Gaze the Word, and then I picked up a copy of The Transgender Issue by Sean Fay, An Argument for Justice, and this is exactly what it says. It's a debate or an exploration of trans issues, and it's UK based. So that's quite interesting to me, because I have not really read anything around trans issues or trans fiction generally. It's based in the UK. Usually it's American. So I'm really interested to read this, and I've wanted it for a while. And then Oliver from Chaotic Bibliophile, he said, you just have to get it, you have to get it. So I was like, all right, fair enough, I do. So I got this as well. So that was a pretty big book haul. You can see why I separated my book haul and my reading ramble. And this is going to take a lot of editing, I feel. But yeah, hopefully it'll be worth it. I don't know. Anyway, any books here that you recommend that I don't leave on my shelves for the next year with all of these books? Drop a comment below, and hopefully, if you haven't got anything to say, you could leave me a little emoji. I'm all about leaving me an emoji at the end, just to know you're still here by the end of it as well. So today, perhaps drop me in, seeing as it's a bit rainy, a little weather emoji to see what the weather's like where you are. And hopefully I will see you again here soon. Bye.